So we continue our conversation with the candidates here on AM Quincy. Next up is Ward 5 City Council candidate Dan Minton, stopping by to chat with us about himself, his background, and his hopes for the future on the council. Dan, good to see you.
Nice to see you, Joe. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to talk to you. I've known you for many, many years in a different capacity. A lot of folks will be familiar with your time in the Quincy Police Department.
Right, well, even here, doing some of the segments on safety, we did a great one on crosswalk safety.
That's right.
And obviously the Quincy Sun for years with the Job Well Done and Hotspots. So my background is that I grew up in Quincy, born in Quincy City Hospital, and that's always been a hot topic when I read the Quincy Sun and see that people want a hospital back. I went to all the public schools, graduated North Quincy High School. Then I went and got a master's at University of Connecticut in social work. Then continued my education and got another master's in police administration from Anna Maria College. From there I joined the police department, and I started on Martin Luther King Day, 1980, and finished at 65 years old, when they basically tell you you can't be a policeman anymore.
Right, yeah.
I rose to the rank of lieutenant, and as lieutenant I took over for Bob Hanna, the long-term crime prevention officer, and I created a bunch of programs that were based upon my social work background. And we did programs like senior citizen police academies, student police academies, Asian American police academies, self-defense classes, pepper spray. As I aforementioned, the publications and the shows that we did here.
Yeah.
Did a lot of shows.
Yes, yeah, it was almost like community policing before it became kind of a thing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd really reach out to the community to be interactive. You were highly visible, all over the place at all times. So.
Yeah, we did a lot of stuff that was contemporary. We had a rash of certain types of crimes we were hitting at one point with pocketbook thefts, and I got ridiculed, but I showed how you should be carrying a pocketbook.
Oh.
And that came on throughout the city of Quincy, and people like saying, "You look great in a pocketbook."
But it stuck with them, right?
But it stuck with them.
And it educated them, yeah.
We did a lot of programs, Stranger Dangers.
Yes. Yep.
And it was fun. It was educational, was very supportive, and it was a great reputation for the police department.
Absolutely, yeah. You'd had a lot of local community meetings right within areas that needed the information, right? You didn't kind of step back and bring people to you. You went out to them.
Exactly, yeah.
Very popular on your bike. The bike patrol got to be kind of a thing with you.
Yeah, it was something that you got to meet people, and people were very friendly to officers on bicycles. They're not in a car. They're not with the windows up.
Right.
The walk and beat has pretty much died out because of the bicycles, and people talk to me. People give you information, and it was great. And especially in the square, you see the bicycles. And they can get from point A to point B a lot faster than someone on a walking beat, or even in a vehicle today.
Right, yeah, stuck at a red light in traffic, right, exactly. When did you retire, Dan?
I retired June of 2020.
Okay. What have you been doing the past 3 years?
Well, I was doing details, and I get tired of moving my arm up like this. And after 40 years prior to that doing them, I said I needed something else.
Yeah.
So about a year ago, maybe a little more than that, I saw Councilor Phelan at an event, and I said, "Chuck, if you did a great job. You do a great job, but if you ever think about stepping down, give me a call. I'd love to do it. I would never run against you because you've done a good job." And in April, he gave me the call.
Really?
Yeah, and I said, "This is great." And so here I am, got back in public service.
Yeah. Had you thought about it prior to that?
Yeah, I really missed, Joe, the interaction with the public.
Yeah.
And I was trying to find a way to get back involved.
Okay. And
the police department, that avenue was closed. Someone else took over the job. And so I said, this would be ideal. I'm a problem solver. I go after things. And that's my reputation as a police officer. And I think this is a good calling for me.
Sure. So, you're kind of guaranteed to be elected. There's no opponents, right?
Yeah, it was great.
Unopposed, yeah. Were you surprised at that?
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
I was. There's a lot of good people in the city, and some of the people that ran before had contemplated running, but they decided not to, and so it worked out well.
Sure. So does it kind of free you up to concentrate really on the job now instead of campaigning, right?
Well, so I went out and I banged on I think every door in Ward 5.
Oh, okay.
Gave out pamphlets, talked to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I've gone to senior buildings. I'm doing my presentations
Yeah.
soon that I used to do
Great.
about public safety.
Yeah.
And just talk about who I am and let them know who I am, and if they have issues down the road once I become city councilor, then I might be able to help them out.
So what kinds of things are they telling you, Dan, when you're going door to door? What's on people's minds in Ward 5 these days?
Well, the biggest one was the Eastern Nazarene College incident.
Oh yes, the Welcome Center there.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me just start out by saying that I grew up right near Eastern Nazarene College. As a young kid, Eastern Nazarene College left their gym open for us all the time, for kids. And then when I was in high school and in college, I would often use their library, as a lot of people did. And then when we started doing self-defense classes, I went to Eastern Nazarene College. I said, "Can we use your gym?" Very open.
Mm-hmm.
So they're fantastic neighbors. So when I heard about the incident there, let me go back a little step there.
Sure.
I had firsthand knowledge on this because I lived so close. So I believe it was a Saturday night, and I was watching television with my campaign manager, and I wasn't really paying attention to the show, and all of a sudden I started hearing people yelling, "Go home, go home!" And I said, "Oh Jesus, there's a protest."
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh, you heard it outside?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
I mean that's how close I am.
Okay.
So we basically jogged over there, and we got there and we saw probably 15 to 20, which are described as neo-Nazi group, with candles, flares actually,
Flares, yeah.
a banner, face masks,
Yep.
and they were chanting "Go home" and along with some other statements. And to my surprise, the police were already there,
Mm-hmm.
which was great.
Yeah.
And once the flares went out, which took about 20 minutes, the group left. But I can't say enough about Eastern Nazarene College. Their students were on hand, and they represented themselves very well. These protesters love to have a reaction. They said nothing. The residents in the Welcome Center, again, said nothing. So there was no cause for a flare-up. And basically there were 3 officers there, and they did a great job.
Okay.
But I've been to many protests, especially in Boston as a police officer. People up in your face and for different causes. And this was really different because it was within listening distance to my house.
Yes, right.
But again, I can't say enough about the reaction of the people that were there.
Sure.
Police officers did a great job. The people that were there didn't feed into it,
Mm-hmm.
and they left to have it come back, so that's great.
Yeah. Are folks that you're talking to concerned about that Welcome Center at all? Or do they have questions about it? Or?
They were, because there wasn't a lot of information in the beginning.
Yeah.
And once the information came out that it's just basically a center that moves people on to different locations,
Yep.
I think there's 60 in the state. And I guess what I was saying was, it's really not the people, it's the process.
Mm.
And I think that's when you start talking to people, that was what the issue really was.
I see.
This was dumped on people. It was dumped on the state, dumped on the city. The city handled it well. And I bike around there still a lot, and I walk over there, and I see the residents there, and very polite. There's no criminal activity that I'm aware of. I see them down at the beach, and they're just trying to be part of the United States.
Right.
And you can't blame them for what they've gone through.
Right. So, as a ward counselor, when things like that arise in the ward, would you have like a community meeting to?
I'm big on community
Yeah,
meetings,
yeah.
and I'm sure Eastern Nazarene would open up a room. I'm looking forward to them opening up rooms for me anyway.
Okay.
Anytime there's a community meeting. But having said that,
Yep.
this ward is huge.
Yes. So we should talk about the actual geographic area of it.
It was
'cause it's
redistricted.
changed a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
it really has. And it's so if you picture the Fenno House on Hancock Street, that's the northern boundary. It goes down Hancock Street, and then it crosses over onto Newport Ave for a short distance, and then down Furnace Brook for a short distance, Adams Street up to Whitwell, Hospital Hill. Then it continues down almost to Lincoln Hancock, Jackson Street, Water Street, cuts over almost to McKay's Restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
and then it continues on over towards the credit union, and then Elm Street to Bigelow.
Okay.
So that's a huge area.
Yes.
It covers a lot of the square. So it's going to be a challenge. But again, I'm retired and I'm available, and I just think we may be having separate meetings.
You'll be biking a lot of hills. It sounds,
Well, again, I
sounds
will be biking. I definitely will be biking. But I went to 25 School Street, a senior housing
Yeah.
building, and I said, I just introduced myself, and I said, maybe we could set up some meetings in the future. And they asked me, where do we vote? I said, we are 5-1A. That's a new district. And I said, I hate to tell you this, but I know you've been voting at St. John's, but now you're voting at Quincy Point Middle School.
Right.
And the director said, well, what about 45? Where are they voting? Oh, I said, they're 2-5. They're voting at St. John's
St.
across the
John's.
street.
Yeah, it's right in the line there.
Yeah. So they were like, oh. I said, yeah, some things need to be worked out.
Right. Yeah. The 2020 federal census changed a lot of the makeup
Right.
of the wards. And that was one of them. Yeah.
Most of the wards seem to be pretty confined and attached. For example, Ward 1.
Yep.
It goes House Neck, Germantown, Marymount, Adams Shore, and some parts of off a southern artery.
Yep.
Squantum's the same.
Yep.
Atlantic area, but this one's kind of a challenge.
Kind of divvied up. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be a challenge. That also includes Wollaston Beach.
Wollaston Beach.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time at Wollaston Beach.
Yeah.
I really do. One of my campaign's statements was, come see me down at Wollaston Beach. I'm either walking or riding. I'm walking with one of my 4 adult children or biking with them. And what I see, especially in the summer, is reckless driving. I see reckless driving, speeding out of control all year long,
Yeah.
but especially in the summer where it gets more populated. You see groups of youth and adults drinking on the beach. They get rowdy. They intimidate a lot of the locals, the local residents. So after dark, you don't see a lot of walking. Trash is disgusting on the beach, in
Yeah.
the barrels. And I know the mayor talked about the possibility of taking over the beach.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
I'm not on the city council yet, so I don't know the budgetary issues.
Yeah.
And the mayor himself had said this would be costly.
Yes.
But boy, what a great idea.
Okay.
You're talking about taking care of the issues that I just mentioned, but also setting up volleyball courts, working out one of the yacht clubs, renting out boats,
Mm-hmm.
kayaks, making it people friendly.
Okay.
I think this would just be a great idea.
I think he's talking just about the beach, not about the boulevard, right?
Well, we're hoping that if you get the beach, you get the boulevard.
Oh, okay.
The state police are down there now, but they're thin. We
Yep.
have the resources. There's a lot of federal grants. You get to spend a lot of time with officers down there. But right now we don't do that because it's their area.
Right, yeah. Although if there's an emergency, Quincy Police are there first all the time anyway.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And of course, it's served by the fire department and Brewster Ambulance too, so.
Right. The yacht clubs are the state police coverage, and,
Yes.
and all the businesses are ours.
Oh, I see, okay. Interesting,
Yeah.
okay. There's a new park there, of course, now, where Beachcomber used to be.
Yeah,
So,
that's. I'm still waiting to see how that's going to develop. One of the suggestions I made to make the park a little more enjoyable is, you see a lot in Florida is these fitness centers. The outdoor machines.
Mhm.
They don't need to be lubricated or anything like that.
Oh, really?
Dip bars and pull-up bars, and just put a few of those in there, and make it so that people who are walking. A lot of people walk the beach, and a lot of people stop at the restaurants. Just when you're walking, you hit those spots and then make it part of your
Oh,
workout.
Interesting, that's something different.
Yeah, just
Okay.
just an idea. I was down in St. Petersburg, Florida, and I saw it down there, and I said, this is a great idea.
Interesting, okay. Well, there's a whole neighborhood back there, the Beechwood Knoll area, so
Yeah.
folks could walk to it.
Yeah, people walk the beach all the time, and
Sure.
if you did that, and you got Collins Restaurant, that area that has a kid playground, but you can
Yep.
still do your dips there, and you can still, so you could get a couple of workouts in during that time.
Another major item in the news is the Long Island Bridge reconstruction proposal.
Yeah, to me, that's a no-brainer. I'm with Councilor Harris on this. You're talking about 5 to 7 years to build this. You're talking about the speculation they get of hundreds of condominiums out there. And now you're still talking about traffic issues. You're talking about hundreds of cars coming through Squantum, which is a one-lane road. Then the big issue is the Neponset Bridge. Now, almost any given time during the day, it takes a half hour to get across that bridge. And now you're talking about 100 more cars jamming up that bridge. So I don't really like the idea.
Okay.
But from a social work perspective, what really disappoints me is that the city of Boston is willing to put these people and isolate them away from their community and not be mainstreamed in the public. And that really bothers me because I look at the Quincy model, and we started that in crime prevention. We had officers that would go out to the public, to the woods, and try to get the mentally ill people to go to Father Bill's. And they would always say, I'm banned from Father Bill's for what I did. And I said, we know you're not banned from Father Bill's. Father Bill's just wants you to come in. And they want you to talk to them and say, I won't do this again, and do corrective measures. You can go to Father Bill's. A lot of them are just so mentally ill that they just refuse, and they spend the winter out there. It's hard, tough people.
Yeah.
And when I left, Chief Kennedy created a unit that involved social workers, and they had a nice relationship with Father Bill's, caseworkers, social workers. And the difference between Boston and Quincy is that we keep our people here. They're out of the streets. We see them. The officers see them. The caseworkers see them. They see that there's something wrong with them, something going on. They get them treatment. They bring the caseworkers, the social workers, and they bring them back to equilibrium. A lot of people think that the mentally ill that are hanging around our city anyway are dangerous, and I really can't recount an incident in all my years that, unless they were fighting each other, there was really no incidents of violence. You see them up by the train station or up by the Hancock Green, and they're just sitting there, and they might be yelling, and that's when we bring our people in. We get them help. So I'm kind of disappointed in the whole Boston idea. They have plenty of vacant buildings. They should be doing satellite programs. They should be providing services like we are. We just have a win-win situation.
Okay. So you don't think the bridge should be rebuilt?
Definitely not.
Okay.
I don't even think they should be shuttling them out there.
Is that right?
I really don't. You want to mainstream these people. You want to help them. You want to get them integrated. Some business owner might say, I know you got some problems, but we can get you some work here. We'll try you out. But out in Long Island, when you're staying out there and you're shipping them back, for the day, that's big bucks. So I just don't think that's a great system.
Okay. One issue that affects all the wards in the city, Dan, is traffic.
So.
And who knows better than a former detail officer?
I know. That's, you take your life into your hands if you're not watching traffic. You really do. So, a lot of building south of us here, Braintree, Hingham, Weymouth, and they're all coming through the city. And when the expressway gets jammed up, they come through here too. A lot of people live on the coast, and we go right back to the Neponset Bridge. It jams up. What's the solution? Well, the traffic engineer has done a great job. These roads were made for the 50s and 60s, and you really can't build more roads. And we've done a few. But he's done a great job by using delayed lights, like left turn first or left turn afterwards.
Yep.
So that reduces time waiting, and also reduces accidents, especially pedestrians who are trying to get across. Those are built in too. So, and the police department gets a lot of grants, and so they're out there doing pedestrian crosswalk safety. So it's not going after the pedestrians so much, but the people that are speeding, and there's a lot of enforcement. So what's the answer? How do you make it better? Well, I think the only answer is that when employees start showing up for work late because the red line doesn't work, or they can't get across the Neponset Bridge, or can't get through Lower Mills because that's jammed up.
Yep.
Going up Adams Street was jammed up the other day when I went by 8:30. Working from home for a couple of days. You get an organized system. You have your employee there from 8 to 4 as opposed to 8:45 to 4. I mean, I think that's the answer for major cities.
Would you call yourself pro-development or smart development? How do you feel about development in general?
I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
The 2 buildings going on been approved, I believe, in Wollaston Center.
Yes. Yep.
One was the Asian market.
Right.
The other one is behind the 7-Eleven. To me, it's connected to a downtown area, and they're going to provide parking, so I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
What I do have a problem with is when someone tears a house down and they have ample yard space in behind, and they want to throw in 3 condos.
Okay.
That really bothers me because I grew up here. I grew up in Wollaston Center, and I just don't like to see that. The first one I saw was behind Cohane's on Clay Street, where they tore down the house and they put in a long row of condos. And I said, "Oh my gosh, that's ugly as can be." And it really just, and again, it was probably district or a zone for that, but I just that was one of my concerns. I just didn't want to see that.
Okay. Changes the character
Really
of
does.
the neighborhood. Yeah.
Really does.
Okay, so it sounds like you're smart development.
Smart development,
Yeah.
common sense.
Sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of bikes, I haven't asked you about what do you think about the bike infrastructure in the city right now, and how could it be improved?
So I just did a questionnaire by Quinn Cycles,
Okay. Yep.
and I bike a lot, and I bike very safely. I choose my streets,
Right.
and I know that the bicycle lanes that we have on the major arteries are federally funded. So we'll pave your street, or we'll do things for your street if you get this bike lane.
Right. The C Street project's a good example. Of
Right.
it. Yeah.
Quarry Street with the pillars
Yep.
going up the street.
Yep.
Quarry Street's kind of a wider street, but when you want to do something like that on Hancock, you want to do it on C Street, to me, you're taking out a traffic lane, and traffic is very busy as it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that the money comes from the federal government, but when I did the survey, my comment was, for bicycle safety, for pedestrian safety, secondary roads. For example, if I'm going to go from my house by Bistro to Panera, I'm not going to drive up Hancock Street on my bicycle.
Okay.
I'm going to go from Wendell across Elm, then I'm going to go to Rawson, then we go to Faxon, and I'm going to get there, and it's much safer.
Okay.
And
All right.
so those are where the bicycle lanes should be.
I see.
But you're not going to get your street paved.
Okay. All right.
So to me, again, it's smart choices of where you're going to bike. I bike out to Marina Bay a lot. We'll have dinner out there. You bike along Wollaston Beach on the sidewalk.
Mhm.
You go reasonably slow. People don't have a problem. There's a sign that says yield to pedestrians. So that means that you can bike on the sidewalk.
Yes.
Then you cross at the Dunkin' Donuts and you're back on the sidewalk, and
Yep.
you're biking out on the sidewalk to Marina Bay. And
Okay.
it's a safe ride. So you have to pick and choose.
So maybe some meetings with bicyclists or through Quinn Cycles to
Absolutely,
talk about that?
yeah.
Okay.
Again, that's you're not going to get the pavement done,
Right.
but as a city, we can mark these lanes for those roads that I mentioned.
Okay, so it would be the city's responsibility to
Yeah.
do that instead. Okay.
South Central to North Central, as opposed to going up Newport Ave.
Avenue, yeah.
Of course, the hill will kill you.
Yeah. Sounds like you're going to be the physical fitness counselor, Dan.
Yes, I guess so.
Of course, Granite Links is a major issue that's come up recently.
The Granite Links.
Yeah.
So I went to one of the meetings at Southwest,
Okay.
and then I followed up last week with a meeting at City Hall.
Yep.
And I go back to like Furnace Brook Golf Course when I was a kid, sledding in the off season, people hiking, walking, just enjoying nature. And when I heard that there was a trail at Granite Links, I said, I got to find this. So we put our boots on and figured we're gonna have this great hike.
Yep.
And we saw some residents. Is this the trail? And because we couldn't really tell, because
Yes.
it really wasn't marked and it wasn't really cleared out. And so we walked for maybe 15, 20 minutes, and we came across houses in Milton. And I said, I guess that's the end of the trail.
Okay.
So when I heard that, a couple of people wrote in the Sun, they had great comments about the use, especially in the winter. And they said very, very simply, Granite Links, it's a great place for view if you want to play golf, if you want to dine, but there's really nothing free.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah, that really hits home. So when I went to the meeting at Southwestern, the residents were asking for simple things, a trail, to take care of the ballparks. I'm like, we're not asking a lot here.
Okay.
And when they're asking a lot, Granite Links, to renew a contract with 33 years left, I'm like, this is your opportunity to show that you're a good neighbor and go forward and produce.
Okay.
And go beyond what the residents are asking for. You know, to welcome people to be up there to snow ski.
Mhm.
You know, just put the tennis rackets on and go. You know, just welcome people to
Yeah.
use it. You know, and then you have it for the rest of the time when people are going to be out there golfing. I know people golf when it's 10 degrees. And, you can't go out there then, but it's when there's snow on the ground, and make it accessible.
I think it was a revelation to a lot of people that it's public land.
Right.
I don't think a lot of people realize that.
Yeah.
So the council, as you know, is advocating for the reinstatement of the the oversight committee.
Right.
Do you think that's a good idea?
Yeah, there's no hurry.
Okay.
So it's like, I know they want to do it, they want it, but there's just no hurry. You just let time go by and let's see what kind of neighbor they're going to be.
Okay. All right. We haven't talked a lot about marijuana and the zoning for those establishments. Are there any in Ward 5?
No,
Right now?
no.
Okay.
There's, I understand there's 2, and they're over on Liberty Street, and there's one up in Quarry Hills.
Right.
And it was kind of funny at Quarry Hills. People had the little kids playing baseball. All I could smell was marijuana coming across the field. But that's isolated, and the one on Liberty Street went with some objection, but it apparently it is going in. When I was down on Jackson Street talking to the neighbors, they said, we don't want this. I understand that.
Yeah.
I said, that's not my ward,
Right.
but I understand what you're saying. The flip side is that what the 2 councils were saying was, we need to spread this out.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with that.
Okay.
No one should have to have all that. The thing about marijuana stores is that really so far there's no crime related to the ones that I've read about. And you're getting a product that is safe, is not laced with something. And if you're going to buy on the corner, you don't know who you're buying from. You don't know if you're going to be mugged. You're not going to feel comfortable reporting it to the police because
It's illegal.
it's illegal.
Right.
And so that just makes it more accessible to crime. So I really don't have a problem with that. Again, it needs to be in a business area.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to put it like West Elm and Billings Road. That's a residential. It's still a small strip mall,
Yeah.
strip mall area, but nobody wants it there.
Pretty much touched all the topics that we wanted to. Do you have any hope for committee assignments, Dan, that you'd like to serve on?
I think I'm a natural for public safety.
Yeah, obviously.
I have a nice relationship with the new police chief, his staff, and I did the background investigation on Chief Jackson when he first came on, and he got the job. So
Yes.
we have a good relationship too.
Very good. How do folks get in contact with you if they would like to take up a topic with you or an issue after the election?
Well, they can contact me at mintonward5@gmail. The only capital is the M, and on Facebook, Dan Minton for Ward 5.
Okay. Dan, great to see you. Always.
Always a pleasure, Joe. You did a great job.
And we look forward to continuing our discussions after November 7th.
Absolutely.
All right. And thank you for watching us here at AM Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano. We'll see you next time.